जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स. दिस इज आदि अचिंत. आइए समझें जियोपॉलिटिक्स को एक भारतीय नजरिए से.
So India has a mindset where it hits, it punches below its weight. We have to punch not above our weight. We have to punch not below our weight. We have to increase our weight and punch the post.
ये हमारा सिद्धांत है. हम घर में घुस के मारेंगे.
You know, victims of terrorism do not sit together with perpetrators of terrorism to discuss terrorism.
जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स. हमारे साथ हैं अरिंदम मुखर्जी साहब, जो वी विल टॉक अबाउट अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग रीजन ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, जहां पर पिछले 2 साल से लड़ाइयां चल रही हैं, यूक्रेन एंड सराउंडिंग यूरोपियन रीजन. एंड ऑफ कोर्स हम लोग फिर थोड़ा सा इधर उधर भी बात करेंगे ऑफ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन द वर्ल्ड. तो नमस्कार सर, वेलकम बैक. आई नो you've been busy and thank you so much for taking out time and not forgetting your old friend.
I've been traveling actually. I've been traveling a lot. Couple of trainings taking place, and then I had just give me 1 sec. Let me just mute the video for 1 second.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Guys, by that time, before we begin, let me just first request you guys to please like the video. Most importantly, बाप रे बाप क्या फोटो है.
This incidentally is a muffler actually. This
अच्छा,
is a muffler which I was
आजकल
like.
आजकल ऐसा वैसा लगाओ ना तो एकदम वो हो जाता है, प्रो हमास हो जाते हो आप.
हाँ. This was much before Israel and Hamas का fiasco happened. Anyway, so I was been traveling, been conducting training, और एक नया development है. I'm been thinking of writing a book for the past 1.5 years. Been researching on it, so finally managed to write the first chapter. तो
Damn
वो
good.
है. And I am on to the second chapter right now. तो उसको लेके अभी I might have missed a lot of what is happening. Recent update क्या हुआ है क्या नहीं हुआ है, but I have got a couple of points for you. Given the fact that we were discussing कि ये रशिया का चक्कर क्या है, you know, suddenly खारकोव को क्यों उसने अटेम्प्ट करना शुरू कर दिया. उससे पहले have you noticed the changes that Putin has made in his core team?
The new Putin, huh?
That's a very interesting few couple of things, which like they go, I mean, it's all speculative, but the first impression that comes out is that last year or year before last year, I think, when Prigozhin started that, you know, talk about corruption and all, and Prigozhin was against this thing, the Shoigu, और आज तुम देखोगे तो Shoigu को हटा दिया गया है. Okay, and not just that, there's this guy who's
as the chief of the what is that, National Security Committee, na?
National Security, yeah. It's an important move. वहाँ पे पात्रुशेव था. पात्रुशेव को अभी शिप बिल्डिंग में भेजा गया है. But between Shoigu and Patrushev, Patrushev is supposed to be closer to Putin because they both hail from St. Petersburg. Okay. So we can talk a little bit about Shoigu a little while later. But the first thing is Shoigu का जो deputy था, Timur Ivanov has been arrested. वो मारिउपोल का रीबिल्डिंग के टाइम में उसने थोड़ा पैसा खाया. And this again, so it came out in the open and he's been put behind bars, and this again goes back and rehashes the point that Prigozhin was trying to say that, you know, these guys are bureaucrats and they're screwing up our logistics and our supply chain. And our supply chains. Okay. So Shoigu has been removed, and the person that has come is Belousov. He's of special interest because he's an out-and-out economist. He's a Keynesian economist, number one. Number two is Belousov is he gives state control of state economy of prime importance. So which again sort of harks back to the Soviet Union kind of an era. Okay.
They want to do that.
Yeah, so Belousov is all about state control of economy. Abhi, I've scribbled a couple of points. Abhi, Russia's defense budget is 6.7%. This is very close to the Soviet levels.
Yep.
This is huge. Belousov happens to be a technocrat, and because he doesn't have a voter base or a popularity, base to cater to and things like that, he's a hard-nosed guy and he's an out-and-out Putin loyalist. So this looks like this is a kind of a war economy, and Russia is going to be transformed into a war machine. And this war machine is a quote which is not my phrase, which is not my quote, which is not my phrase. This has been used by Guardian, and this is also being used by Reuters. Okay, but the fact is, हाँ ठीक है यार, कुछ तो भी है, because you getting in a technocrat and you're putting him in charge of defense at a time when there is this war, and your production line is doing absolutely fine. I mean, there's no dearth of production, there's no dearth of ammunition, there's no dearth of weapon. So what could that mean? That could mean you're trying to crank it up to the new level, to a new level. And if you're cranking up to a new level at 6.7%, then you're probably talking about a war economy, and not just a war economy. वो तो अभी भी है. You are talking about you are talking about staying in Ukraine for a long period of time. कि war of attrition हो रहा है तो war of attrition होने दो. Under that situation, आदि, मेरे को ये खारकोव का लेने का, maybe it's a bargaining chip, but maybe, I don't know, maybe he's serious. हालांकि I would still have my question which I had 2 years ago, which I still have now, which is, यार तुमको तो ओडेसा लेना चाहिए था. Because if the idea is to cut off Ukraine's access to Black Sea, I could have taken Odessa. That again brings back to the point of what you were saying, that maybe Kharkov is a kind of a bargaining chip कि चलो यार रहने दो. This is probably an easy target. अच्छा, Kharkov में क्या बवाल हुआ तुमको पता है? ये तो यूक्रेन वाला. यूक्रेन ने, ये क्या नाम है इसका, जेलेंस्की ने, जेलेंस्की, रुको मैंने अमाउंट भी लिखा है कहीं पे, 1 मिनट रुको. हाँ, 7 बिलियन रिवनिया, विच इज यूक्रेनियन करेंसी, 7 बिलियन रिवनिया उसने स्पेंड किया था खारकोव का फोर्टिफिकेशन के लिए.
Billion, that's what?
7 billion is like 3.5 billion Indian rupees. I
That's
think
about $500 million के करीब में
हो सकता है. सो इसने स्पेंड किया था फोर्टिफिकेशन में यूक्रेन में, जो 2-3 दिन में खत्म हो गया. Because they have already gained, Russia has already gained about 250-260 odd square kilometers. So now people are asking question, finally, not everyone, because United States knows the game. Now people are asking question, people in Ukraine are asking question कि यार ये पैसा गया कहाँ? So इसमें लोचा तो बहुत सारा है. But yeah, my opening thoughts is that, you know, Kharkov के अंदर गया, ठीक है, but going back by the kind of reshuffling that is happening in Russian, the core Russian team, the core team of Putin. Oh, by the way, ये अपना था ना, क्या नाम है, यूरी कोवालचुक का बेटा है. Yuri Kovalchuk is his financial mentor. He is the guy who advises him on state economy, state finances. उसका जो बेटा है बोरिस कोवालचुक को इसने बनाया अपना head of audit chamber. So he is reshuffling and he is putting in guys who are absolutely very close to him and guys who don't have military or bureaucratic or political ambitions. He is getting hard-nosed technocrats and hard-nosed corporate kind of guys who are only going to who all have in mind of delivering good results. So ये अभी उसका चल रहा है.
Excellent, actually, that you brought this up, because you know, कहीं ना कहीं one thing that we need to understand, and I, जब आप describe कर रहे थे, मेरे दिमाग में एक चीज आ रहा था. It's probably because he wants to recharge his country, and whatever said and done, this has been a good opportunity for Putin to kind of do something for his kind of, you know, wake up that sleeping country. It's a large country, small population, log not interested in doing all this because, you know, there's no physical contact and this and that. So there's a little hesitancy within the war when the war started, especially. But then today we see Russians in a different light. There is a certain amount of nationalism. So I guess he's wanting to take advantage of that. And he keeps talking about the factor that we need to be self-reliant. As a matter of fact, उसने तो मोदी साहब के बारे में बोला है कि, you know, look at him, that he's started this thing called Atmanirbhar, like Make in India. And this is what we want to do. We want to be self-reliant and not get caught up with, you know, a whole lot of other things. The question that I would go to, see, Kharkov is an interesting place. Why? Because this is something that he had taken before. ठीक है, that region, Sumy, Chernikov, that North May region. And when you're giving your answer, I'll pull out the map and put it up. Uh, it's a very interesting region of that area जहाँ पर ये घुसा है. The speed is very interesting, militarily speaking. I mean, it is very, very fast. Normally in the east, if you look at it, एक village लेने में हफ्ता लेता है आराम से, street by street. Here they've gone rammed through, literally armored assaults, choppers, this, that. He's shown his capability in a small speck of area. Abhi, they've not reached the main Ukrainian defense line as of now. They're a little further away from that. The question that is now, are we looking at a second front? Because that will be a very interesting military tactic also to break the Ukrainian resistance. ठीक है, पैसे इनके लेट हो गए हैं क्योंकि अमेरिका से लेट आ रहे हैं. So what do you think of that kind of a tactic? It's purely military rather than a geopolitical strategic move.
See, I'm not a military guy. First
Yeah,
thing.
neither
So
am I. But we need to kind of,
but given the fact that the money is getting delayed and weapons are getting delayed, and there's a recruitment crunch which Ukraine is going through, and they're trying to pull in their guys from Latvia and from Estonia and from Germany and all. वहां पे लेके लोचा हो रहा है. If Ukrainians are not willing to come back, so they are facing crisis across three possible fronts. There's short of money, there's short of weapons, and there's short of people to fight the war for them. Under such situation, yes, why not? What you're saying could make sense. I mean, it does make sense that open another front if you can afford to, bleed them, deplete their resources as much as you can. Okay, and it could be it could be a kind of a lure also. Pull them there, attack somewhere else. So
yeah.
So yeah.
That's a common military tactic. I mean, you kind of create a front there, and then, as you were saying, go for Odessa.
Ideally speaking, Transnistria hai, Odessa hai, that they would make sense.
That's something that you would want to do. But how do you see Europe as a segment in this war? Because Europe में बड़े divided voices हैं. कल वो स्लोवाकियन प्रेसिडेंट को मारने की कोशिश करी है. 4-5 गोलियां मार दी उसको बेचारे को, and just because difference of views on Ukraine. And Ukraine seems to be a center point, amongst the politics in Europe. So how do you see Europe looking at it?
Europe is screwed, basically. I mean, okay. Objectively, you look at Germany, Nord Stream gone. Nord Stream gone means their entire economy, which was dependent on the Russian energy resources, is gone. And do you also know that Lloyds and Archer, I think, Nord Stream का जो insurance agents था, they have refused to pay. They have said it's a government carried out attack. We are not going to pay. तो उसको लेके भी लोचा चल रहा है बहुत. Okay, so you look at Germany's loss. Germany has lost, I mean, a lot of things. Even without being involved in any way, they have lost. If you look at France का लॉस कहाँ से शुरू करे यार? एंटायर सेंट्रल अफ्रीका इज गॉन. निजेर से भगा दिया, माली से भगा दिया, सब जगह से भगा दिया, एंड यू गॉट ब्लडी रशिया गेटिंग इन एवरीवेयर. अच्छा, डू यू नो ये निजेर में जो अमेरिकन एयरबेस है, वो अमेरिकन एयरबेस खाली करने से पहले रशियन सोल्जर वहां पे घुस गए.
करेक्ट.
Okay, and now Americans are saying, oh, no problem, they're 2 kilometers away from us. So they're not even waiting for the US Air Force guys to leave the base. So France has lost France has lost Central Asia. You've got Macron, who has gone bonkers, who is talking all crap. 20 साल पहले Sudanese terrorists से मार खा के तुम आ गए. What kind of a fighters, what kind of an army are you talking about that's going to take on Russian guys who are fighting for 2 years now, who are absolutely in war shape, जिसको कहते हैं. यूरोपियन भी उसको नहीं मतलब पहुंच रहा है. सो यूरोप में क्या है, यूरोप इज लूजिंग अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, बट वो अपार्ट फ्रॉम हंगरी, जिसमें वो लोग का कुछ खास कंट्रोल नहीं है, प्लेसेस लाइक स्लोवाकिया एंड ऑल दिस प्लेसेस which are very deeply into European Union and that Western European bureaucracy and all. वहां पे अगर कोई ऐसा आवाज उठाएगा कि we should be looking at a ceasefire and things like that, well, shooting somebody is a little too much, but you fall out of favor. You fall out of favor of a lot of people. because you're supposed to be in this together, whether you live, whether you die, whether you float, whether you sink. If it's NATO and EU you are talking about, and you are a core part of you are a core part of Western European nations, then you should be speaking things like that. But हाँ, गोली मार देना थोड़ा overboard है, but yeah, that's what Europe is. Now, are there sections within this bureaucracy? Are there sections within this crowd that think that Ukrainian war is a humongous piece of ass hattery? There are loads of people that think. Most of them are retired. Most of them want to remain anonymous. Most of them are, very critical, and then they're not heard of. So yeah, it's a big racket which is there, and as days pass, more and more things keep coming out.
That's true, but the interesting thing about Europe is that they are kind of sticking to the line of what the Americans kind of said. कि भाई ये करना है and this is what we need to do, and you can kind of see that happening even now, and where you're seeing them kind of towing the line and not there's no break in spite of a lot of this thing. But European governments are changing. That's something which is interesting. You're seeing the right kind of creeping into Europe. So what do you think is do you think that will kind of change stuff? Because Ursula's tenure, I think, also is September, October. The European Union president and all that stuff is also going to happen. So how do you think this game is going to shift in Europe? Or do you think it will shift at all?
Realistically speaking, Adi, no. Europe is too deep inside America's pocket to change on its own. It's too deep. The roots are too deep, the connections are too deep, and they're too far gone. If Europe changes, only if America changes. And America का भी खास change का मुझे कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है, even if Donald Trump comes to power, because this 61 billion or 81 billion or whatever amount that went to Ukraine, जिसमें से सिर्फ 23 बिलियन गया और बाकी सब अमेरिकन डिफेंस डिफेंस जो है हॉट शॉट्स द बिग गाइज उसके पॉकेट में जाएगा. एनीवे 23 बिलियन ये डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प की वजह से गया. सो ट्रम्प ऑन द वन हैंड इज टॉकिंग अबाउट एंडिंग, हम पुतिन को फोन करेगा 2 घंटा में हम वॉर खत्म कर देंगे एंड ऑल दैट क्रैप. And at the same time, he is lobbying amidst the Republicans and the Democrats to send money to Ukraine. Now, is he doing this because he wants to remain in favor and doesn't want to be, kicked out before the elections, and election के बाद कुछ दूसरा करेंगे? I don't know. I doubt even Trump knows that.
I think he's wanting to kind of continue the war so that he can come and solve them.
हो सकता है. Yeah, could be. कि election हो जाए उसके बाद he'll come.
This is a very common thing, that if you remember Nixon also, जब Nixon आया था, he literally went and told the North Vietnamese that, listen, आने से पहले you wait, don't do a deal right now. When I come, I'll give you I'll take care of you, sort of a thing. And they had agreed, and the war kind of just.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to Europe, Trump आने से भी, then you have, even if let's assume that Trump comes to power, Ukraine war comes to an end, there is a nationalist movement all across Europe, all across the Western Union, different Western Union countries. They want more autonomy about as far as their country is concerned. Would the deep state allow that?
That's the thing.
Yeah. So there are several hurdles that we see as far as Europe's changing fundamentally is concerned. That's what I said, that they're too deep inside the American system, too deep inside the American. When I say American, we are talking, of course, about the deep state. That for them to be expressing independent desires and strategic autonomy and things like that at this level. And frankly speaking, Adi, we've seen the European leaders. Do you think any one of them is capable? Macron, everything said and done, Macron में थोड़ा सा भी है. You look at Olaf Scholz. This guy is, मान लो Nord Stream को नहीं तोड़ा गया, मान लो Nord Stream is still functional and Germany is still booming, there is no war in Ukraine, nothing. Europe is absolutely fine. Which means what? Germany is the biggest economy of Europe. It is the one country that is literally pulling Europe through. Does Olaf Scholz look like a leader that is capable of leading
Yeah,
economic powerhouse like Germany. So
powerhouse. He's
yeah,
reduced it to no power
is
in the
yeah, he's
powerhouse.
reduced it to हाँ अभी तो अपना वेस्ट बंगाल में लोड शेडिंग होता था. He's reduced it to that ज्योति बसु level. Now the kahani is, if you are the leader of our industrial powerhouse, everything, I mean, minus the war and minus everything what I was saying, that Germany is the most powerful nation, you are the leader of Germany. अगर सबसे पावरफुल नेशन का लीडर का यह हाल है तो बाकी यूरोप का क्या हाल होगा? सो यूरोप का भी कितना भी चाहे, it doesn't look very, it doesn't look very
Promising.
promising. Yeah, it doesn't look very optimistic.
So I'm going to show you something. I'll share my screen and I'll show you something. This is Putin Z signing a agreement, and it's very interesting because their body language is especially very interesting. Normally they are smiley, smiley, and this and that. So we'll talk about Putin's visit to China as well. 1 second. Yeah, here we go. I'll just put this across, and this is the agreement signing. And I've just put the thing off because it's in Chinese, and I'm sure all of us cannot understand that. So, just look at that. It's not very. It's a form sitting, right? That's one. And the second one I will also do. But what is your first impression of why Putin has gone there? Because Putin going there is a little interesting. Why? Because the last time as well they had Putin had visited China before he did what he did, and this time as well when he's making a big move, he's going back to China. So how do you kind of see that? I'll dig out the other video that I want you to see.
I'm sure China has been a little non-committal as far as well, they are backing Russia. It goes without saying, but within limits. So my layman assumption could be he visited China before he cascaded this whole thing last time. This time around, he's visiting China once. He went there probably to make sure if you guys have my back. And this time around also, post-election, it could be half formality. The post-election and the kind of relationship that you have with China, it is only quite natural for you to go there. And half of it could be, do you guys have my back? Because there's something which I plan to do. Kya something? Pata nahi yaar. Which could, again, going by his reshuffling of his core team and opening new attack front in Kharkov and all, we can take a guess that he's thinking of the long haul and he just wants to make sure that China has his back. So these are the two things offhand that comes to my mind.
So I will show you the second video. 1 second. Let me just pause this thing, and yeah, okay, 1 second. Let me just put it up. I'll share my screen. Have a check at this. This is a very interesting video, and I saw this and I said, yeah, this is funny because they're normally very haha, hoo hoo, he, and all that stuff. So they signed this. Look at Putin.
पहले तो मुझे पूछने दो कि what is it? What do you find off? Because this is a very formal kind of a setup.
It is, but still, if you see the previous agreements, they were all holding hands, yeah, oh, and this and that. Their previous meetings have been very, very warm and cordial. Yeah. Exceedingly warm and cordial. And I'm not kidding. I've been watching this relationship very closely because it's of concern to us. Okay, but it's a very clear concern to us. One of the things that you kind of look at this is that, as you were saying, it's some sort of a पिछली बारी भी गया था यार ये भैया मेरे को ये करना है. I know you guys have some restrictions. Let's kind of थोड़ा सा fight it out a little more.
Yeah, could be. Because see, frankly speaking, well, pata nahi, because I haven't noticed their sort of meeting each other as closely as you have. बट ईस्ट को मेरे को देख के कुछ खास मतलब वो नहीं लगा कि यार
No, see,
साइनिंग अप.
I, yeah, that's there. I agree with you. It's a very formal occasion, but the previous times have been very, very different. I mean, I wish I could show you a video from the last time because it's. I'm showing you uh,
I know.
on Twitter, but the previous times have been very, very kind of cordial, and their body language and this and that has been very, very cordial. Plus, they've been having issues. It's not that their relationship has been smooth. They've been having a lot of issues as far as the payments are concerned. China has kind of opened up that Asuri River nonsense. They've not been able to come up to an agreement for that pipeline they've been talking about for centuries now. Okay, that pipeline business is not working out. They've not been able to say count kitna banayega ye wo and all that. वो चल नहीं रहा. So there are issues. There are contentious issues between both of them. And as a matter of fact, I personally feel that the Hamas thing, Putin was not very happy about it. He did what he had to do, supported China, supported Iran, and this and that. I don't think he was very happy about it.
ओके बट मेरे 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 पास जितना भी डेटा इंफॉर्मेशन है दैट स्पीक्स अ लिटिल डिफरेंट बिकॉज
Please share your
आई
thought.
ऑफ कोर्स been quite some time, so I don't remember most of the details. But the thing is that the Russian Jews, there's a fair number of Russian Jews that have moved out of Russia ever since the Ukraine war started, and they went to live in Israel, and they've been living in Israel for a long time. And even though they had good relationship back home and all, when there was a survey done amongst them, how many of you support Russia and how many of you support Ukraine, 70% of them came out and said that we support Ukraine.
Yeah.
That sort of killed this for Putin, and that is probably, a lot of people think that that is probably the turning point of Putin's impression about Israel, and the fact that हालांकि Israel had remained a little slightly neutral. I won't say absolutely neutral, but slightly neutral. They wouldn't come out in the open and they would criticize Russia, things like that. But that's sort of started changing with this 70% of people, 70% of Jews, Russian Jews coming out and saying that we support Ukraine. There are a couple of other things also that have happened, which I don't remember now. What details मेरे को याद नहीं है. The fact of the matter is that a couple of months, maybe 6, 7 months, 8 months down after Ukraine war started, Russia-Israel's relationship थोड़ा सा भी खराब हो गया था because of
They
a
had
lot
sent
of
Mossad in. They had sent Mossad in.
नहीं, I'm talking about a couple, no, not Mossad, something else which I don't remember absolutely. अभी दिमाग से निकल गया, but the fact is, the bottom line is that relationship started going a little south as far as Russia-Israel are concerned. So, is Russia very pissed with Hamas? I don't know, because pulling in America and pulling in their naval power वहां पे को स्टेशन करके रखना, that is depleting America's military might. आज के दिन में United States is split in two. Shall we send arms to Ukraine? Shall we send arms to Israel? अपना production भी is tanky because we don't have that kind of a capacity to produce that much. So it is, in a way, it is helping Putin. This Iran wala fiasco and this Hamas wala fiasco is helping Putin.
In that way, it does. It does. There's no question about it. But it also takes away from the narrative part of it, where Putin did start getting a certain amount of upper hand because people started buying stuff from him. That entire narrative, all the news media basically picked up, got up, and went and sat in Israel. And he's like, "What the hell, guys? You're abusing me." Because see, at the end of it, what was happening is all the abuses that he was getting was actually helping him, because they were getting desperate and they were looking out for countries like us, and even China refreshed a lot of gas and gave it to a lot of people. We became the largest bloody oil seller. We are still the largest oil seller to
we made
Europe.
a killing out of this. Yeah.
We made a killing out of it. Can you imagine? They're typical Guju brain, huh? Fantastic. With all respect. कहते हैं, भाई साहब, मैं तेरे से तेल लूंगा, रुपया दूंगा. दूसरे वाले, भाई साहब, मैं तेरे को तेल बेचूंगा लेकिन यूरो लूंगा. तो उसके बाद पहले वाले पे जाता है, बोलते हैं अब तू रुपया इधर पे इन्वेस्ट कर.
That's how you do business, boss. Yeah. So
See, he does. He would want the narrative to shift back to Ukraine, na? Because
He
if he
would.
wants to do something about it, he doesn't
Hmm.
want the damn Israeli stealing the narrative there, right?
हाँ, but realistically speaking, you know, if it's देखो narrative का जहां तक सवाल है, Russia doesn't have a narrative. It is all West dominated, and West is
Hmm.
winning the narrative game, which we know. Okay, Russia is winning on the this thing on the field, on the war front. West is winning the narrative game. यूक्रेन का कहानी कुछ और है, वो मौका मिला तो यूक्रेन में क्या हो रहा है वो बाद में बात करेंगे. The fact is, if I am Russia and I'm looking into, permanently convert those territories and probably go to Odessa and take off. So my priority would be realistically whatever I targeted, whether I'm getting them or not. To hell with what the narrative says and what the media says and what anybody says. And it is good for me if my prime enemy, which is United States, is probably split right in the middle, confused with an old president, thinking where do I send my money and where do I send my troops. That is good for me, normally speaking. अब अगर इसके अंदर भी कुछ गेम है which I am missing, then probably I have no idea.
That's
But
interesting.
on the face of it, this what seems to be.
No, for us also, see, if you look at it, for India, it's become a big positioning statement, right? You have sold some amount of weapons to the West. It was reported very badly in first post, but some amount of weapons, in the sense, some spare parts and all that stuff has gone. ठीक है, वो स्पेयर पार्ट्स तो यार ठीक है, सुखोइज का स्पेयर पार्ट्स आर कॉमन, दिस दैट, ये वो लॉट ऑफ स्टफ यू आर मेकिंग. सुखोई में तो ऑलमोस्ट 89-90% ऑफ इट यू मेक ऑन योर ओन. तो spare parts you sold some stocks, you sold some investment, close to $4 billion का आपका हो गया. वहां से INSTC भी आ गया आपका. Two bloody train loads of grain has come from Russia. From the INSTC, you've signed up with the Chabahar process. So, it's a what you're saying does make sense, that everybody's trying to position himself differently to wait and watch how the world kind of changes and use that leverage somewhere later after that.
Yeah. Because
So
आज के दिन में, हाँ please करते हैं.
No, please. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's wanting to kind of play the game.
Because आज के दिन में, if you really sort of detach yourself and try and take a bird's eye view, nobody seems to have a long-term strategy right now.
Yeah, people are kind of very tactical right now.
Yeah, because things are in a state of flux, and rightly so, because you've got this old order getting, faltering, and you've got a new order which is yet to come, which is probably going to take, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years, probably not in our lifetime. There would be stirrings of a world order, but अब क्या होगा, कैसे होगा, कौन सा रूल्स चलेगा, किसी को नहीं मालूम. पता नहीं चलेगा कि नहीं, रूल्स रहेगा कि नहीं. Okay, probably this is how it is going to continue for the next 100-150 years, that you play tactically, and wherever you see advantage, you take advantage of it. Or probably you would really have a superpower with a cutting edge, technological advancement and advantage that will come in, and that will change the game. Anything could happen. Till that time, of course, so we've got this Middle East corridor, we are trying to take advantage of it. We've got this INS city from Chabahar, we are trying to take advantage of it. जिसको जहाँ पे advantage मिल रहा है वो लेने का कोशिश कर रहा है. So yeah, that's
हर कोई कर रहा है. It's not just us. Sorry, but everybody's doing that. It's not just us. If you look at what the Saudis have got, they've got a bloody nuclear deal with the Americans and a security pact. ठीक है. If you see what the Israelis are getting, shitload.
Yeah.
वो जो भी कह लो, बाइडन ने लास्ट वीक बोला था मैं वेपन्स नहीं दे रहा, 1 बिलियन के वेपन्स पहुंच रहे हैं.
ये बाइडन बेचारा ना फंस गया है ये डीप स्टेट के चक्कर. इसको क्या बोलना है, क्या नहीं बोलना है.
मैं आपको सही में न्यूज़ बताऊं, पंगा क्या है, पता क्या है? The root is where I've kind of tried to figure out where the root is. The root is very simple. Victoria Nuland was thrown out literally because people are not happy with her Ukraine offensive. It was known as the Vicky Nuland offensive, by the way.
अच्छा, वो counter offensive था last year का Ukraine.
That thing failed like a pancake. Didn't fluff. It just went.
पैक ऑफ कार्ड्स बोलोगे भी तो पैक ऑफ कार्ड्स का इंसल्ट होगा.
यार पैक ऑफ कार्ड तो खड़ा तो होता है पहले. ये तो साला it just failed like थक एकदम. It didn't just rise up. It just was flat. Yeah,
Intelligence
so
breakout.
what happened was is उसको इन लोगों ने push out करा. She joined where? Columbia University.
Hmm.
She's a professor there.
सोचो यार.
ठीक है. Now
Hmm.
you can imagine all these protests are funded by
Hmm.
China and
Hmm.
Soros. By the way, there is a report which has come out that all these protests are being funded by China through the Neville Singham network.
अच्छा.
ठीक है. And Soros साथ में.
Hmm.
So guess who's working to bring Biden down? His own people.
Hmm.
So I don't know what the hell is happening inside because USA is kind
Exactly.
of losing the narrative on Israel also. USA is
Exactly.
losing the narrative on Israel.
Exactly. That is the point. I mean, I didn't want this discussion आज का अड्डा to come down to United States because it's absolutely
यार
chaotic over
गेम तो
there.
वही है ना, गेम तो वही है ना भाई.
It's so chaotic. It's so chaotic. It will take you a lot of time to try and understand because you gotta. What it looks like is that there's a crack within the deep state itself. You've got, as you said, Soros tha, and I think probably there are a couple of other names also. I think Bill Gates' his name is also there, who's like behind
वो
this
सब होते हैं यार,
anti-Israel.
but the main guy is
Anti-Israel, yeah, Soros is there, anti-Israel protest. Then you've got a Jewish lobby, which used to be, which is again very pro-Israel. So you've got a Jewish lobby, which is again Soros ka piche wala jo hai, which is anti-Israel. You've got a Jewish lobby, which is pro-Israel. You've got a deep state where a president can't walk, can't talk. You've got another president who is sitting on the, wannabe president who is waiting to make a comeback. He's a Republican candidate. He could be your candidate of choice, but God knows why you've got a problem with him. You've got a Putin who is like setting his pieces on the chessboard and किसी को यहाँ ले आना, किसी को वहाँ ले आना, वो कर रहा है. I think the only thing left for you guys to do it, come out in the open and say, boss, yeah, okay, from here on, we are the ones who is in control and we are going to run the whole show.
who
Short of, I'm saying deep state. Short of that,
who will come out and say?
yeah.
That's the thing.
If there is a cohesive unit, but वो तो भी है नहीं. It is
नहीं
all
है.
run by bureaucrat and academician and media and पता नहीं कौन.
अब
So
सांप अपने आप को काट रहा है वो.
Yeah, America is in real mess. It's like this close to a civil war. वो तो नहीं होगा शायद, but it's in a very bad shape. At least
So
university में तो problem चल रहा है.
yeah,
खराब
and the
problem
last thing I'll mention before we get into the questions is that Ukraine will be the start of the end of the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Ukraine
जो
will
भी
be the
game चल रही है,
Please.
till the time Ukraine is not sorted, you can't, जो हमने एक बार याद है Rimland और Heartland की बात करी थी, you can't have the Rimland kind of calming down till the time Ukraine is not sorted out.
Yeah.
वो होगा ही नहीं आपका.
और होगा नहीं. देखो, फर्स्ट तो है यूक्रेन इज गोइंग टू बी you said Ukraine is the start of the end. Ukraine is going to be the start of the process of this new world order coming into place. I don't know when that comes into place. The second thing is, ये पता नहीं, मेरे को ये नहीं समझ में आ रहा है कि रिमलैंड को ये लोग शांत करना ही नहीं चाहते हैं. just look at bloody Western Europe and look at the mess that they have created. And what kind of a brain goes to war with that kind of an idea in mind कि वहां से हम सब लेके उठा के यहाँ जगह, are you actually fighting Russia or are you fighting West Europe? Have you gone to fight Russia or have you gone to wrestle their industries out and take them back to your country? वो भी तो तुमसे नहीं होगा because you don't have that trained manpower.
अब चलते चलते चाइना को तोड़ दिया. अब पता है आपको, चलते चलते चाइना की पूरी इंडस्ट्री तोड़ दी इन लोगों ने.
कौन सा?
The EV industry is gone. 100% tariffs.
100% tax. 100% tax.
खत्म.
I missed.
Over. See ya.
Just imagine.
चलते फिरते, they just walked around and said 100% tariff. Oh, Xi Jinping fallen down in the bed. I don't know whether this was the real Xi Jinping. तभी हंस नहीं रहा था इसको देख के. Because see, that's the thing. The world is in such a flux right now, and
nobody has an idea.
The discussion literally comes down to the world order every time you pick up any part of the world.
Yeah. If you really want to go down deep into a discussion, the kind of addas that we have, where there's a lot of back and forth and there's a lot of exchange that happens, unlike the other podcasts where you've got the guest that speaks and you predominantly keep quiet and let them speak. जब बात करेंगे, exchange करेंगे, you would invariably go down to that place where you talk about global order, you talk about those bloody deep state guys, and you talk about Ribland and Heartland and so on and so forth. ये आ ही जाता है अपना discussion में, whether we like
यार
it or
हो ही
not.
रहा है, हो ही रहा है. What
वही
is
है
happening? हो ही रहा है. अभी यहाँ पर आप देखो, इधर पे पाकिस्तान, टुडे मॉर्निंग आई डिड अ स्मॉल 10-minute अपडेट ऑन दैट.
क्या हो गया
पाकिस्तान का, सऊदी अरेबिया वाज सपोज्ड टू कम टू पाकिस्तान, ठीक है, कहता साहब मैं नहीं आ रहा. उसने उधर भैंसियां की, क्या हो गया? ऑब्वियसली पाकिस्तान में इतनी वो है, बड़ी पॉलिटिकल इंस्टेबिलिटी, कभी इमरान खान इन, कभी आउट, कभी इन, पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है वहां पर. एंड एवरीबडी नोज यार, दिस गाय इज नॉट पीसफुल. आई मीन प्लेस इज नॉट पीसफुल. इधर फट रहा है, उधर फट रहा है.
सऊदी आना क्यों चाहता था वो? टू डू व्हाट?
टू इन्वेस्ट यार. वो थोड़ा सा सॉवरेन गारंटी लेके थोड़े पैसे पूसे दे देगा इनको, और कुछ नहीं है.
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा.
उसने बोला ठीक है मैं आता हूँ टाइप्स. एंड वैसे भी यार, टू माय माइंड आई थिंक दे आर ऑल डूइंग द न्यूक नेगोशिएशंस, राइट? सो दैट्स हैपनिंग. He said I'm not coming right now. These guys went running to China. China says upgraded CPEC. Upgraded CPEC. सारे जो है वो तो चल नहीं रहा. So this is basically, and Pakistan is becoming an elastic. One is getting pulled by USA, one is getting pulled by China. खींचो. And इस तरह से तो I can openly make a prediction, if this खींचो comes around 2-3 years maximum.
Yeah, there is a limit. Yeah, there is a threshold.
It will break apart. You can see the impact on the road. By the way, the POK guys are going to start calming down because they've been given some guarantees. And because of the guarantees, Punjabis are not happy and they're now wanting to protest.
And we should not forget about the Taliban's and the Durand line issue.
That is another one who's this thing. There's an Iran issue which is sitting there now, declared a nuclear power state. बोलता है खुले में मेरे पास हैं weapons, कर लो जो करना तुमको.
And फिर भी आदि ईरान हो सकता है 5 साल के लिए चुप हो जाए, अपना चाइना हो सकता है 2 साल के लिए चुप हो जाए, बट तालिबान जो है वो अपना चुप नहीं बैठेगा, खास करके टीटीपी वो नहीं बैठेगा चुप.
So it's a crazy world to be in. ठीक है. एंड अगर ऐसे बात करते रहो तो चलता रहेगा, पता है, कहीं ना कहीं. अभी इंडिया क्रॉस करो, म्यांमार में आके देख लो,
और मैंने तो बोला था कि यूक्रेन को लेके बोलेंगे, यूक्रेन में क्या चल रहा है वो भी तो नहीं बोला. यूक्रेन में तुमको पता है इसने, रुको मैंने फिर से आई मेड अ कपल ऑफ पॉइंट्स, स्क्रिबल्ड अ कपल ऑफ पॉइंट्स. यूक्रेन ने Zelensky offered $400 billion in public-private partnership, in private ventures and in privatization in New York Stock Exchange. उसके बाद IMF जाके उसको $15.6 billion दिया यूक्रेन को in the month of March. First time in the history of IMF where IMF is providing loan to a nation which is in war, which IMF doesn't do. अच्छा, ये देने के बाद क्या हुआ, बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सा चीज हुआ. नाफ्टो गैस विच इज द यूक्रेन नेशनल ऑयल एंड गैस कंपनी, उसका जो हेड, ही केम टू यूएसए इमीडिएटली. ही हैड अ चैट विद एक्सॉन, विद शेवरॉन एंड विद हैलिबर्टन. ओके, कहानी ये है कि नाउ उसको हैलिबर्टन बहुत पसंद आया. हैलिबर्टन इज पीएचडी इन फ्रैकिंग. उसको हैलिबर्टन बहुत पसंद आया है. आई थिंक ही इज गोइंग टू इनवाइट हैलिबर्टन इनटू यूक्रेन, एंड वो नाफ्टो गैस जो है वो हैलिबर्टन पे हो जाएगा. दे आर गोइंग टू टेक कंट्रोल, इधर हैलिबर्टन और all three of them, whatever private public partnership, पता नहीं क्या होगा, but they are going to control because this is the structural adjustment that IMF has given that loan for. तो हैलिबर्टन आ गया, फ्रैकिंग शुरू हो गया, तो there is a fair chance. Now this is my guess that fracking is terribly bad for the environment, and Ukraine is the agricultural, the belt, the golden, goose of Europe. तो वो अगर खत्म हो गया तो fracking is bound to affect. तो ये है चक्कर. This is the first stage of structural readjustment of IMF which is coming to effect in Ukraine. तो ये वॉर किस लिए हो रहा है यार, मेरे को अभी समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि I mean व्हाट आर यू ब्राइट, ठीक है, मन ही मन में सोच लिया है कि यार वो ईस्टर्न यूक्रेन चला गया रशिया के पास, अभी यहाँ का जो है अपना लूट फूट के लो बिफोर पोलैंड एंड जर्मनी स्टार्ट्स
वो तो हो
गिविंग
रहा
इट.
है. BlackRock has already taken a lot.
Yeah. And this bugger is profusely thanking BlackRock and State Street and all.
Yeah,
We are
yeah, yeah,
grateful,
yeah.
to our financial
Yeah,
advisors
yeah.
and things.
35% of Ukrainian land, agricultural land, BlackRock has already taken.
Yeah.
35%. Can you imagine?
So this is what is happening. It's crazy. This is never going to stop. Yeah. Let's go to the questions.
Guys, please like this video. I hope you guys like this discussion. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, spread the word. Share these videos with your friends. People did. Somebody just said today's discussion is, it's interesting. Now, one of the things that we need to understand is that uh, we need to kind of do a little bit of wargaming about these areas, and and that's something that we'll need to kind of come to a point sometime. So we'll try and plan that out. Anyways, guys, so please like, subscribe, and of course, yes, you can contribute towards this channel using the QR code or PayPal at the bottom in the description. या फिर super stickers, super chats और members बन के. Thank you so much all of you, and please do subscribe to our Dev Talks clips as well. उसके अंदर काफी सारे छोटे-छोटे clips आते हैं, and I've told you guys that daily updates, sooner or later I'm going to start switching it to the Dev Talks clips channel. That channel is gaining a little momentum. 11,000 subscribers पे है. Once it comes to a certain standing, we will kind of start switching to that area as well. Let's get into it. Thank you, by the way. Ramya ji, thank you so much for becoming a member. Shriram Saab, thank you so much for becoming a member. R. Pal ji, thank you so much. Says Ukraine is what you get when you have a clown as a prime minister. Yeah, well. Pal ji, please don't give us nightmares here.
वो क्लाउन है क्या, वो दूसरा कुछ है, वो क्या है यार?
कौन सा? Which one? There are too many.
नहीं, अपना जो है,
जो कभी बुढ़ा नहीं होता, कि जिसको काफी ठंड लगती है,
जो कभी बुढ़ा नहीं होता है.
हाँ, पता नहीं क्या है. आजकल तो फोकस है जिसको साहब को बड़ी ठंड लगती है ना. आज दोपहर में I did a show where I discussed the Khalistan issue and how this whole thing which is happening in front of us is connected, including this chap.
तो वो क्या मई के महीना में मफलर पहनने लग गया क्या? Is he feeling that cold these days?
पता नहीं यार, वो तो अभी तो वो तो फंस गया अभी. पूरी तरह फंस गया बेचारा. And this had said, that he's come out. ठीक है, Modi, if you have 100 bites, media bites, ठीक है, Modi साहब owns about 70-80 of them, straightforward. ठीक है, because largest party, this, that, ये वो, he owns that segment. The rest get 30 used to focus on the youth icon till now. Since the time this chap has come out, the youth icon's media has gone.
Footage वो खा रहा है यार.
Yeah. So what has happened is, ऊपर से ये स्वाति मालीवाल and all that nonsense has happened. So there's more footage going that side. Yeah. So this thing is, बोलते ना,
crazy यार. This is crazy. If you follow it, this is a crazy game.
Yeah, absolutely. Partha ji, thank you so much. Says for USA, Russia is the Yamraj masquerading as a country.
Yeah, but that's what is confusing, yeah. For me, that for United States, a country like United States, going to a war with so much of experience. I mean, you lost the war. Fine, Vietnam तुमने हारा, तुमने ये हारा, क्या बोलते हैं, Afghanistan हारा, but one would have at least expected you to pick something up before pushing Ukraine to get into a situation where you've got a Russia who's walking in. And it would be stupid of you to think that Russia is going to fall into that Afghan trap once again, because I'm sure they've learned their lesson. If you thought that, and if you've done that, and that is your strategy, then पता नहीं यमराज से भी कुछ बढ़कर हो गया अभी रशिया.
I think the Americans have achieved their war aims.
वो यूक्रेन को खा लिया through BlackRock and through Halliburton and all of this.
That was one that did nobody. You think they bothered about Ukraine? The day this thing is over, nobody will talk about it. It's just like
shift,
Afghanistan. When it went over, who talks about Afghanistan? No one,
shifting of
right?
industries or everything put together, shifting of
No,
industries.
they wanted. See, Europe was kind of standing up and making noises, so you've shut
That
them
is,
up.
you know,
Okay, you've repositioned NATO to the north, right, in the North Sea area, where the next kind of trade routes and all that. And by the way, Russia just found a humongous amount of oil in the north.
yeah, that was
Humongous.
there. That was there though.
Yeah, but they're
That was
now
there.
kind of, doing stuff to it.
Sure. Okay, sure about it.
Yeah. So you've done that. You've got the Europeans dependent on you. You've kind of created a polarized environment. You've got Russia busy. So if you now pivot towards China, Russia can't do much. So in your interest, Ukraine should keep fighting.
Yeah.
Pal Saab, thank you so much. US has zero concept of civilization, not sustainable.
I know that's debatable actually. One point in time when you look at the soft power of United States during the Cold War time, Cold War ke, matlab, towards the second half of the Cold War era, United States had tremendous soft power effect. I mean, when the less
That's true.
said, the better. Any way you care to look, it was United States' soft power speaking, whether it was
Yeah.
through Bollywood or through Hollywood or
Hollywood,
base,
McDonald's.
Hollywood or McDonald's and baseball matches and Coca-Cola and Pepsi and things like that. They had a mega soft power effect. It is unfortunate that it had to come to an end like this. It is unfortunate that wokeism took over and they thought probably that is going to be the new soft power appeal, and it didn't click. So that was bad. But yeah, they did have a tremendous amount of influence on the rest of the world at one point in time.
Yeah.
And
That's-
even the other side of the Iron Curtain, like Cold War era, there is this thing called Stilyagi. Stilyagi. Stilyagi is those smuggled records. जो
Bone
X-ray
records.
plate, yeah,
They call
X-ray
bone
plates
records.
के ऊपर record बनाते थे Russians, just so they could hear Western music, just so they could
Rock and
hear
roll.
Bee Gees, Bee Gees and Elvis Presley and
80s
things like
mein.
that. Yeah.
So
So
they
that
would
had
go to, this would happen in Germany. So they would come to West Germany, get X-rays done, and then find
and
these
then
bootleggers who would record these things and then kind of hide it in their X-rays and take it back, then cut them and then put it in their listing and play it in the night.
crazy
So,
days. But they had
people got shot for that. People got shot for that.
Oh, nah, this I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when they cracked it down somewhere in 86, 87, people did get shot for that. But then by the time it was just too late, they just said, oh, fuck it. Those go. Frustrated commoner, thank you so much, says China is a puppet of the West. West deliberately is pushing Russia towards China so that they can exploit the resources in the East. If Russia weakens, then China would be a military threat to Russia. Okay, that's an interesting analogy.
Yeah, but we
We'll
need
have
to think
dig
more
through
about it. Yeah. See, China, whether China is a puppet of the West or a portion of West is a puppet of China remains to be seen. But yeah, they could be either ways. There is a fair possibility of that. The second half of your proposition, I don't know. Maybe we need to think about it before we.
I'm not
put
too
across our
sure
opinion.
if Russia weakens, China would be a military threat to Russia. I don't think so, because the Russians have a very clear policy. One soldier or 100,000, you step on my territory, I nuke you.
Yeah.
That's the Russian policy towards China. So I'm not very sure a weakened Russia would be threatened by a militarily strong China. That I don't think so. Of course, they do have a very kind of a tense relationship on the border. They keep a huge sort of forces, and China keeps about 2 divisions in the north to
And
guard that.
उसका तो है ही border issues with Russia, and
Yeah.
they did express 2060 में कुछ करने का है. Probably that has taken a backseat, which is going to come back once if this crisis subsides. But yeah,
Absolutely.
we can talk about that when that.
Akshay Iyer Saab, thank you so much. Ukraine selling Patriots to Xi Jinping to China, black market. How true? No. That news was there. Those were China DF9 carriers, DF9. These things, those are not. that one photograph had come that Patriot missiles have landed up in China. No, if you actually zoom into that photograph on the main this thing, there are Chinese symbols written on it, and it's the DF-9 air defense system, which is similar to an S-300 that the Chinese have kind of copy pasted themselves. So that's what it is. Okay, Adi Venkatesh, could you elaborate exactly what's your thought on the Kharkiv offensive? I'm on the Ukraine border. Whoa, I hope you're safe, firstly, but anything further that you want to add on the offensive part?
We did talk about, in case you missed, we did talk about it, Adi. And the thing is, it's too early to say.
Yeah,
I am of the opinion that the main focus of Russia would be Odessa, because their primary target would be to cut off Ukraine's access to Black Sea. So Kharkiv, yeah, Kharkov, whatever you call it, could be a kind of a ploy to engage Ukraine somewhere and then hit somewhere else. Or Kharkov could also be, as Adi is saying, take as much of territory as you can, because this reinforcement are basically bullshit, and keep them as a leverage, so that if there is a peace negotiation, if there is a ceasefire negotiation sometimes in future, you can use it as a bargaining chip
yeah.
without losing your core territory, because Kharkov is not your core Russian territory, not of core Russian strategic interest, like the rest of East Ukraine, which Russia has captured, is.
Bhagyasi ji says, when will this war end? It is seriously bringing down IT service industry of India. Really? The Ukraine war? Has it? I don't I don't think so, because it barely connects anything with Russia at the moment. So war will end. It will take, I think, another year and a half.
It doesn't look like it's going to end so soon. Yeah, it is going to be a kind of a war of attrition,
I don't
and
think
that is,
it'll end before the elections of Americans.
अगर होता, if Trump comes in, anything can happen. If Trump doesn't come in, then this is going to continue. And
Yeah.
probably that is the reason why this cranking of, reshuffling and rehauling of Russian core team is taking place, because they're getting ready for a long haul.
Long haul.
Yeah,
Aditya Iyer says Putin meeting Xi, Chinese supplying weapons to Russia. Not directly weapons, but does supply spare parts and this and that, and
spare parts. Yeah.
drone motors and all that stuff.
Components तो बहुत सारे देते हैं, not outright
Yeah,
weapons. Yeah.
yeah. Anil Saab says Russian Telegram channels indicated in the next 2-3 days time Sumi front is opening up. That's a little north of Kharkiv. So this is north, this is north, this is northeast. Kharkiv is northeast of Kiev. This is north. So it's a little closer home. I guess they're trying to put some pressure. Okay, Rajesh Agrawal ji कहते हैं, do you think Trump is coming? The deep state and leftists will rig the elections and won't allow him to come.
Yeah. Could be a possibility. There could be a very strong possibility of election rigging, just to prevent Trump from coming in. Yeah. And probably that's the reason why Trump is like kind of trying to be in sync, as Adi said. Trump is trying to be in sync with the Republicans and with the Democrats, those who are pushing for your war in Ukraine. यार तुम्हारा मोटा जो agenda है, I'm there with you. Once I'm elected, then I'll probably run like a bull in the China shop. Yeah,
China shop.
देखेंगे.
Mr. India, that's what I wanted to tell you. It was not weapons as reported by First Post, but certain weapon components that India has sent across, their spare parts and stuff like that. So it's not really ammunition or stuff like that. It's not that. Pakistan is working, interesting comment, Pakistan is working on PKBC, Pakistan Katora and Begging Corridor.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Frustrated commoner once again. He says, in the Kremlin, there's no preconceived targets other than Donbass and Luhansk. Things would develop inside Russian security war rooms, chessboard. Things are so dynamic and fluid.
Okay, could be.
That's an interesting comment.
Yeah, but there are bigger aims which Putin had in mind when he opened that war in Ukraine, where he said denazification and Eastern Ukraine and things like that. So those.
By the way, they don't talk about them anymore, huh? They just kind of say, "Yaar, ye nahi ho sakta. Thoda extreme hai." Yeah, sorry. Partha says, do you think they are working on BRICS currency? Like how many maximum BRICS to throw at each other if BRICS expansion goes south.
ब्रिक्स करेंसी लेके एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सा आर्टिकल आया है. They are
Workable.
working on BRICS currency.
They are doing a study, but
And they have even named. They've created a name for that currency. I was reading an article
I
again.
forgot that. Yeah.
यूनिट या कुछ एक ऐसा नाम रखा है, and it is supposed to be partially backed by gold and partially backed by other BRICS nations currency value and things like that. And the writer was pretty upbeat about the whole thing. अभी मेरे को कुछ नहीं याद है, but what I can do is I can send the link to Aadi in a couple of days time when I eventually find
I
it.
read two articles interestingly. Both are in Carnegie. Okay, one is pro BRICS currency and one is anti. I kind of found the anti more credible as an article, and my own feeling is a bit anti it. Why? Because I don't want to benchmark anything with the Chinese yuan at the moment. They're on a, so at the moment, you position yourself, dollar too bad, you bloody this and that. Those are you should do, but I don't think
even if you are on a war footing in creating a currency like BRICS, it is going to take a long time. Or war footing में भी कोई नहीं है.
Also, I don't think any radical financial structure changes will be good for us right now. It'll kind of jerk our अभी तो अच्छा smooth ascent चल रहा है वो suddenly it'll take a big bloody.
And there is another thing is like if you do this right now, right away, then you are doing it as this is coming in as a reaction.
Yeah.
No, this is coming as a reaction to something, and reaction by their nature are not like they are not long term. So the chances of you screwing up in the process remains, and they go high up.
Yeah. Seema ji, is it possible that US somehow can manage to use China and Russia because China is desperate to survive and get some money? Yeah. China against Russia.
Yeah. They have done it once. Henry Kissinger has done it once. They can do it once again. Yeah. Why not?
I'm sure. And the Chinese will be very happy to do it also.
Yeah.
They're swines actually.
And because as I said, that whether United States depends on China, whether China depends on USA is a different thing. But the fact is that with this global supply chain and all, if there are two countries that really don't depend on the West, one is Iran, one is Russia. North Korea को मैं छोड़ दे रहा हूँ because it's very small. So these guys are the original independent country which don't have much going with the West. So they are the ones that West can actually afford to take panga with and go all the way. Neither China can afford to take panga with the West, nor West can afford to take a panga with China because their GSG, the global supply chain, goes for a toss. So they have to be really careful on that.
Yeah. Best video selected says, isn't it good for India that everybody is playing tactically? Give time for India to grow. Yeah.
It is. It is good, but yes, at the same time, we should always be. I mean, people who are running the country should always be mindful about the fact that ठीक है यार, tactical game खेलते खेलते इतना भी उलझ मत जाओ tactical game में, इतना भी कि tactically बन जाओ फिर पाकिस्तान बन जाओ 10 साल में. So you have to.
Thankfully, these guys are not. Thankfully, the kind of decision makers are looking very far ahead, and the kind of. I'm really impressed with one thing. I must say this. And I don't want to sound like I'm doing election ka propaganda, but election season में भी bloody hell, mota deals are getting signed here.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
In fact, I was surprised. Chabar wala, I was surprised. यार अभी election चल रहा है, तुम वहाँ क्या कर रहे हो ईरान में जाके? But good actually.
But they've not stopped. The pressure is on.
And this is a damn good thing, business as usual. Come what may, you're doing your shit, which is a good thing actually.
Very good message. Nilesh ji says, surprising that the deep state backs the AAP jokers more evidently, especially after the SM episode. Yes, sir. Please watch the shows that I've done exposing the deep state connections, and that's the problem with the deep state. Their recruitment policies are really bad. Their HR is terrible.
यार मेरे को हायर कर लो यार HR में. और डीप स्टेट का एक और चीज है, यार ये डीप स्टेट का जहां तक सवाल है ना, दे आर ऑलवेज गोइंग टू गो फॉर पीपल हु आर केपेबल ऑफ सबवर्टिंग state
Yeah.
actors or non-state actors who are capable of subversion. So that is why you've got a Khalistan, the deep state that is backing Khalistanis. Basically, drug peddlers. Khalistan का नाम पे काम चला रहा है. You've got a muffler man who's being backed by deep state. You've got Maoists who've been backed by deep state. You've got anybody who's like got some amount of ground clout who can create problems for the government, whether he's a millionaire or a billionaire or a
गधा घोड़ा
soldier,
खच्चर
gada
सब कोई
ghoda,
चलता
yeah,
है.
koi bhi chalta hai. You've got to have that infrastructure behind you, and deep state is going to come after you with money,
That's the
throw
sad
money
part,
at
you know, throw money at you. Can you imagine?
throw
I
money
mean,
at
you've controlled the world for such a long time, and you're stuck with what? Swati Maliwal.
Yeah.
Imagine, you know, in their war room, they'll be sitting, yaar, what the hell have we done? You know, ये क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पर? But yeah, that would be the case. All right, Madhumita ji, just love the jugalbandi between both of you. Interesting and informative. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for that wonderful comment.
Thank you.
Should Modi visit Russia? This will be the last question after the election. I say yes.
Why not? Yeah. Why not?
Absolutely. I think it's high time India needs to kind of step in.
Hmm.
You
और
know,
स्ट्रैटेजी बनाओ, उसके बाद स्ट्रैटेजी बनाओ, एंड देन व्हाटएवर योर स्ट्रैटेजी डिसाइड्स गाइड्स यू, you do that. So, and if your
I think
strategy guides you,
they've made the strategy already. You know, the sheer factor that they've taken a step towards Iran, done what they've done with Russia, is basically building leverage. Notice one thing: Haifa, you're sitting. Iran, Chabahar, you're sitting. You could sit both of them down and say, "Listen, dude, stop." And they'll kind of say, "Okay, wait, what do you have to say?" They'll have to listen to you.
but part of it ना आदि, मेरा टेंशन एक ही जगह पे. I think I've shared this with you before also. My tension is the in the tech sector we are too dependent on the West. You till the time you
We are,
create your own
yeah.
tech dependence, tech independence, and then you would be really in a position the world is going to open up, and then you can think of कि यार, yeah,
I
this way.
absolutely agree with you. But somewhere down the line, you know, I kind of have this weird kind of nag saying that the world is in a flux right now.
Hmm.
Tech may not be the guiding factor of it.
Deciding factor. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Because if you're able to get leverage, you will get the tech. It's about getting the hold of the leverage, and that's what I think will kind of hold the sway a little harder. Because अगर आपके पास एक leverage है where you are able to pull the strings in the right directions, you will get the tech. That's not a problem. Complete independence and complete self-reliance is going to be a huge thing to ask for.
But that's
But
where my point is that,
critical
for that,
technology, yeah, critical technology, I think you should be able to, with the leverage that you can pull, if you get into this real political and geopolitical situations, the back end deals should really work. You know, like a lot of people don't know the kind of coordination that happens between Israel and India. You know, people just have no idea. The air defense and what we do together, there's a whole lot which is there. Similar systems, co-development, tech sharing between both the countries, by the way, which just people just don't know. Did we realize till the time the first Drishti drone took off that, oh freak, are we making Israeli drones? Nobody knew about it. The damn thing took off. One fine day, it got packed in a box, and 20, 40 of them landed up in Israel. They assembled it, and they're flying in the war. So there's a lot of back end which is there, but I think somewhere down the line, the leverage, geopolitical leverage, would win the day. I don't know. That's just the feeling. I may be horribly wrong and taking a step, but that's what it is. It's speculation, right?
yeah, and that's all this Adda is all about.
Yep, absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. From up, yeah, free कब हो रहे हो properly so that हम लोग कुछ मस्ती कर सकें proper.
ये तो चले, see, The thing is that right now I've got those chapters to finish. That's my priority. So
तो
वो
चलो
तो
ठीक
चलता
है,
रहेगा, चलता
तो
रहेगा।
every 15 days one show time लगा लो आप, so that
ये या
we
कर
can have
लेंगे,
this done.
वो
ठीक
कर
है,
लेंगे।
चलो,
All right.
fantastic. Thank you so much, sir. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Before you sign off, like and please put a comment down below. You guys know till 4th of June, everything is kind of help me out, boost it up. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you. Good night.